Do you love the flight so far? Seems like someone might not have liked me seeing what I saw in the galley, huh? I say, yeah, it's nice to be polite, and then he says, great, thank you, and walks away before turning back and saying, oh, by the way, you want food? Yes, I would love food on this 7-hour first class flight, boss. So he says, you want 7-Up? I go, no thanks, but I'll have a lemon mint. I guess he just loves 7-Up or something. Now that I'm heading to the Middle East, I have a bit of a PSA for you if you're ever planning on transiting or visiting the Middle East. You might be surprised to find that in most countries in the region, services you're used to using like FaceTime, WhatsApp audio calls, all those types of things are blocked. You might also feel like you want a bit more privacy online so that the internet provider you're using doesn't see, for example, what questions you're asking Google while you're there. That is where today's video sponsor, NordVPN, comes in, the ultimate tool you need to keep you safe online. Not only does NordVPN unlock the ability to use things like FaceTime calls, Messenger audio, all those things, but they also hide your browsing so that no one can see it. And they protect you from malware, viruses, phishing, and all that type of stuff with their threat protection feature. Better yet, NordVPN unlocks content from around the world on streaming platforms, so while you're traveling, you can keep watching the shows you're binging from at home. The bad news is that you can't download and sign up for NordVPN once you're in any of these countries, even if, let's say, you're transiting in the UAE or Doha. That means you need to download NordVPN today. Just download the app, it's free, and then you can sign up at a later point. But keep in mind, you can get a 30-day money-back guarantee and 4 months free on a heavily discounted 2-year plan if you sign up at nordvpn.com/nonstop10 or by scanning the QR code now or by clicking the link below in the description. So, meal is here. This is the meze from the menu. This is my special meal appetizer, but it's pretty much very similar to the salad off the regular cart. I can show you that from the galley. I got a little sneak peek of that. So let's dig in. Of course, this is Bangkok catering, I think. Keep that in mind. Here's my main course, and it tastes quite good. Next up, my dessert, a fruit plate that I enjoy with some tea. Not the biggest or most elaborate meal I've ever received in first class, but hey, the price also isn't what you'd expect to pay for first class, so I don't really have first class expectations. What is truly first class is bringing your own jackfruit from the terminal in Bangkok. Turns out my favorite fruit in the whole world even tastes as good at 35,000 feet. Good to know, and by the way, there was no smell from this jackfruit, luckily. So far, so good. Okay, meal's done. Here's the thing, guys. I really don't know what to say today or about this flight because obviously it's a lovely seat. It's absolutely fantastic. One of the better first class seats I've flown, actually, which of course makes it a joy to sit here, but everything else is so, I don't want to say boring, but that's basically what it is. I can't, express excitement or comment on it because there's not even anything to comment on. It's just like, oh, that's the food, that's the menu, that's the amenity kit. The only real interesting thing here is the price and the weird value proposition of Kuwait Airways first class. If there's one thing that is, let's say, the least first class on board, it has to be the bedding. I mean, it's a spacious bed, but I think most people would at least expect some sort of mattress pad or sheet to go over the seat. So that's definitely an area for improvement, in my opinion. So I just made the bed. As you can see, there's really no bedding besides the blanket and one pillow, which I can't believe I'm saying this. American Airlines has more bedding in business class than Kuwait Airways has in first class, which is wild. And it made me think. I actually immediately texted my Kuwaiti friend. I said, how are you guys, being from one of the richest countries in the world, okay with this? And he said, well, all Kuwaitis like me just fly Qatar Airways instead. And I was like, okay, but wouldn't you prefer your national airline be like Qatar Airways? And I was like, no, because when we get to fly first to Doha, we get Al Safwa lounge access, the first class lounge. So we all prefer that anyway. And I was like, okay, interesting point. You heard me talk about texting my friend. Well, in terms of connectivity, there is free in-flight messaging, while Wi-Fi costs $20. The free messaging turns out to be seriously needed a little later. Although I know more and more of you guys and me are opting out of watching in-flight entertainment in favor of bringing our own devices or reading, it's always valuable to have a big selection on board for passengers to choose from, and yeah, the selection here is what you'd expect from an airline that primarily focuses on passengers from its home market. Big shout out to the Thai stewardess who's trying her best with what the airline has given her and delivers us this Emirates-style first-class snack basket. I have some tea with that as I prepare for a quick nap, and suddenly it's basically time for the pre-landing meal. So, had a nice little nap, worked a bit, read a bit. I am so, you know, when you're at the end of a book and everything that the whole book is built up to is coming to a close, that's where I am in my book, and I cannot put it down. So, we have our pre-landing meal here, some sandwiches, some hummus, some avocado or something or other, and some grilled vegetables. We had so much turbulence today, all the way from Bangkok until we left India's west coast. It was bumpy. It wasn't like severe turbulence, but probably moderate for a lot of that time. So sleeping wasn't the easiest, but still, I just got to relax a bit, which felt great. Yeah, I'm excited to say all the stuff I have to say, but I don't really know how to say it, when to say it, so I'm gonna have to think about the best way to deliver this news. At this point, the SHIT has started to hit the fan, so to speak. Another gourmet meal. I paid an unbelievably low cash price for this flight. That is true. But the thing that makes it even more tricky is that the sticker price of Qatar, Emirates, even Singapore Airlines first class, if we're talking about Southeast Asia to the Middle East in this case, even Saudi, is a lot higher than Kuwait Airways. But the thing is, I can fly all those airlines, maybe besides Saudi, at a price that's comparable or even lower than what I flew Kuwait Airways for today, using tricks that I teach in my Points Master program. I can't believe I've been teasing you for so long with the price. I'm sorry about that. This is just the most natural point to include that. So, in total, my first class ticket cost me 49,500 Thai baht, which at the time of recording this narration is equivalent to about 1,480 US dollars. That is one of the cheapest long-haul first class tickets in the world. It's actually even cheaper than business class on this route on most other airlines. What's a better experience, this or business class on the likes of Qatar Airways and Emirates? Well, listen to this and then let me know. At this point, we have about an hour and a half until landing in Kuwait, and most of that time is spent being verbally threatened by the purser. Long story short, because I don't want to leave you hanging, he wasn't happy with me reviewing the flight, seemingly. Maybe because he spent the whole flight standing around delivering service levels that you wouldn't even find on a Jet2 holiday. Sorry Jet2, don't mean to drag you into this, but I just love that meme. So he was standing around all while making the female flight attendant do pretty much everything. Every time I went to the galley, he was sitting on his jump seat while the woman was hustling. Basically, he ends up telling me I cannot post anything from this flight, and if I ever want to review Kuwait Airways, I need to seek permission beforehand. If I don't comply, he tells me he cannot guarantee my safety when we land. This and several other exchanges with him and other crew go on pretty much until landing, for a good 60 minutes or so, and as you maybe understand, I'm a little nervous to see what awaits me in Kuwait. I've been here and transferred here about a dozen times before, but this is the first time I'm feeling uneasy. Well, uneasy is a slight under-exaggeration. When we arrive at the gate, unfortunately things get even worse than I'd expected, and that full story will have to wait for my next video, which I will publish exactly 48 hours after this comes out. If you're watching this after 2 days, that video will be out already, but if not, stay tuned. And hey, Kuwait Airways, since you will no doubt know exactly what happened in flight and what followed after landing, it would be great to hear from you before I post that video so I can include a statement. I don't really expect it, but an apology would be much appreciated. So until I see you guys for that video, please take care and fly safe as always. Hopefully a lot safer than I felt getting off this flight in Kuwait.
$5,000, the price of a one-way ticket to Dubai, specifically a business class ticket. Girl, why'd you spend that much money? So you're wondering how I got here, and it was actually really easy. I just went on the Emirates website, looked up their business class tickets, and I hit purchase. And because I purchased it online, it kind of felt like nothing changed until the guilt began to set in. And then I began wondering, can I actually change it back to economy, because I actually am starting to feel really bad about this. And then I realized I couldn't change my ticket. And that's how I accidentally bought a $5,000 ticket. I really thought I was gonna return it, I swear. So now I'm here. I guess no looking back. Let's get on this flight, shall we? Did you know that you get a free in parentheses, luxury car to drive you to the airport? Very fancy vehicle. I got picked up in a Mercedes-Benz. Then upon arriving, I sent my luggage off and made my
In this video, Rafal is forcing me to watch TikToks and give my opinion.
You tell me the renters are going to pay the payments for you. You are a novice at best, an idiot at worst.
You're the fucking idiot, you egotistical fucking maniac!
12% for broker fees. Let's say you keep the house 10 years. You need
This guy's annoying me. Blah.
Woke up and found squatters living in our house.
Hi, who are you? This is our house.
This is not your home.
Yes, this is. No, get the fuck out.
No. Call the police, please.
Cops are calling now.
Okay,
He knows you're full of shit. Just get out. Just get out. You took that out of the front yard?
Along with the other two signs, because I'm interested in purchasing this home, but there's obviously been some sort of mix-up.
Oh my God. I've had a lot of squatters. Typically, you know, it's part of being in real estate. When you have a property and it's clear, and you have those type of people that are transit in the area, they look for places that aren't occupied. I was hired to watch a bunch of houses once that had squatters constantly breaking into them. When BART, which was the train station, wanted to build, they bought up all these houses and make sure that people weren't squatting in them. And they were boarded up, people still went in them. That's why you gotta manage your asset. Don't leave it to where it looks like nobody's coming around. Keep the grass cut. Make it look like somebody's there. I used to even park a car in a place if I had to make it look like somebody was staying there. You know, we had all these people, drug addicts and all kinds of people breaking into houses, living in them, with no plumbing, no electrical, no nothing, and you can imagine what they were doing. So, you know, it was a fucking disaster, but we did it because we needed the money. We had a management fee. We managed abandoned houses. We figured, oh, that'd be a piece of cake. Let's manage abandoned houses and board it up. What the fuck we gotta do? Nothing. Turns out it was more work than if there were tenants in there, keeping the fucking bums out and dealing with the cops and fighting with people and the drug addicts. Oh my God. We earned our money, let me tell you. I mean, you know, normally they'll leave when they know you're calling the cops because most of them have warrants.
buying a house, worst investment you'll ever make in your entire life. Let's say you paid $1 million for a house. Average house here is $576. $576 is what you paid. Now you need 12% for broker fees. Let's say you keep the house 10 years. You need
Number one, the seller pays the broker. So you're not doing it as the buyer. The seller has to pay it, okay? Is it factored into the price? Maybe, but it's negotiable. And I have never heard in my career of a 12% broker's fee. Maybe he's tacking on some extra fee, I don't know. But in my world, the max is 6 for real estate, and that's for houses. 3 to the buyer's broker, 3 to the seller's broker, and that's negotiable. You know what I sell commercial real estate for sometimes? 1, 2, maybe 3% commission, and that gets split. Why? Because we're dealing with big numbers. So I don't understand 12% commissions. I mean, that right away makes me think somebody's greasing the damn pot.
You need 10% in maintenance fees. It's 1% a year in maintenance fees. It's about 2% in property taxes every year. That's 20%. 2 times 10 is 20. And it's probably 7% to the bank, so that's 70%. Total those up, it's 112%. $576,000 home will have to be sold for $1.2 million in 10 years. You're not going to sell it for that. To break even, dead money, and you had to put $100,000 down to do this deal. They're serving a master.
It depends on your lifestyle. You can't just say, this is the way you have to do shit. It depends on you. You have to determine what's best for your life. If you got a wife and 5 kids, you need a house. The most common way the average working class person has made money in their lifetime is on their home, because in 10 years, it appreciates. And all the costs you're talking about, you're gonna have to pay rent anyway. You can deduct the interest on your mortgage. You can allow for capital improvements on the house. I mean, listen, all these things are brilliant, but they don't work. When you rent, all you do is paying somebody else's mortgage and their expenses on their property, so they end up with it for free. Everybody starts as a renter, but you have to move to ownership. What about the quality of life? What about when you die? What is your wife gonna be left with if you're a fucking renter? Nothing. And if you sell a house, the first $500,000 of profit is tax-free if you're married. $250,000 if you're single and you lived in a primary residence for 2 years. So don't believe the bullshit. If you can buy a fucking home, buy it, but buy it right and make sure you can afford it. And if rates go down, try to refi later.
What was your first big payday? $5 million.
Sometimes ...
Whether you're a big shot or not, protecting your personal information is very, very important. Google your name, see what you find. Your address, email, even your phone number. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. Aura will identify data brokers that are exposing your information and automatically opt out requests on your behalf. They'll even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. All the crap you don't need. Aura is an identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, password manager, all in one app, baby. They monitor the dark web for information like your social security number, address, even bank accounts, and will alert you fast. Go to Aura.com/Ben and you can get a 2-week free trial and see how many data brokers are sharing your information. You like watching the videos? Support our sponsors. Go to Aura.com/Ben and get your 2-week free trial. Thank you, Aura, for sponsoring this video.
What was your first big payday? $5 million. Took me about $70 to create it, and I did it in about 20 days. 21 years old, just moved to Florida. So I meet these 2 top realtors at WCI. They pick me up, we're on our way to Naples, Florida to have lunch. They get a phone call and say, hey, do you mind if we make a quick stop? We pull into this apartment complex. The owner of the property has about 305 units, and they're converting them from apartments to condominiums. Come back to the house, do a little research, that in Florida, you have first right of refusal if you have a current lease. I draft letters. Your apartment is going to be converted to a condo. If you do not, I will give you $1,000 in relocation if you assign me your rights. I get hundreds of people assigning me their rights. The owner of the property goes crazy. We're going to sue you. They call me up. What do you want? I'll take $20,000 a unit and I'll give them back to you. $5 million.
I mean, number one, he was at the right place at the right time. And also, he didn't twist nobody's arm to assign the right to him. Would I do something like that? No. He saw opportunity where for some reason these tenants didn't do their homework and see the opportunity they were giving away. He got it from insider information, basically. Only the tenants knew. It was between the landlord and his tenants. He figured out, well, if I can get over and take over the tenant's rights somehow, sell me that right. See, that's the thing people don't realize. Your rights are worth money. Everything's for sale. And these people, they took the money. It was smart for him. Did it fuck over how many people he got? If he got all the fucking tenants, he must be one smooth talker. There's nothing illegal about it, but it's questionable, you know, because all these people should have benefited by having to leave their apartments. You know, was $1,000 enough? I don't know. Whenever somebody approaches you with anything, do your homework. Try to get in their shoes and figure out what they're trying to do to you. That's what I do. If he had it in a lease that said, if I ever chose to convert the property to condominiums, he could already had the deal laid out. And they agreed right when they leased the apartment. If I was buying a property or I owned a property and I thought that, hey, one day I'm gonna condo it, I'm gonna have it in a lease. That if I do decide to condo it, I'm only bound to you by the terms of this lease. You know, they weren't smart enough to do their homework. And he didn't tell them the whole story. He didn't tell them that, yes, the owner's gonna have to make a deal with them. Maybe they thought there was no deal with the owner. Well, if there's no deal with the owner to be made, then why is he making a deal? So whatever, he fucked somebody good. You know, people do all kinds of shit when they don't wanna work for a living. But getting 300 people to sign a fucking right away, that's work.
This is a good question. Yeah, so unfortunately everything I touched does not turn to gold. I really wish that was the case. Quick story, I bought a 12-unit apartment complex about 2 years ago, did very little due diligence, and thought that I could just, turn it around, increase the rents, do some basic renovations, and, make $200,000 off of it. Not the case, ended up not doing enough due diligence, so there was a bunch of code enforcement issues on the property. A lot of the tenants were just really not screened. The previous owner just kind of slammed them in there just to show 100% occupancy before the sale, and that caused a lot of problems. Ended up having to evict a bunch of people, wasted so much money on repairing these and turning over all these units, and it just turned out to be a huge loss. I was able to actually sell it to a wholesaler who found a cash buyer for somebody that wanted to tear the whole thing down and start over.
The best advice is to learn from other people's mistakes, and he made a big mistake. How he could buy a property with code enforcement issues on it, I don't know how it got clear title. Find that out yourself online. But there's services that'll do it for you. I mean, he should have did his homework more. He should have checked out how many permits have ever been on the property. He should have made sure it had a clean bill of health of the city. He should have known who his tenants were. Anyway, the point is, do your homework. Make sure you're buying a clean bill of goods. And if there are problems, that's fine, as long as you know about them. That's why you're normally getting a deal, because there's problem. Know your tenants, know what you're walking into. Don't go into any real estate blind. He did. He learned from his mistake. I bet he'll never do it again. That's why a lot of people hire management companies. They don't know what they're doing. They say, oh, check this property out for me. I'm thinking of letting you manage it. The biggest mistake I made like that was I bid off.
الو الو صباح الخير. الحمد لله، ايش حالك؟ بخير ونعمة. ابو ظبي. لا ما يجلس. اخذت لي اجازة، ما فيني. ابغى اجازة صيفية، عرفت؟ ابغى احس اني ستودنت. رمك. ها قرار شو؟ اوكي. هي 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 اوكي، كيف اسويها؟ اوكي وشو يستوي عقب هالقرار؟ ها ها اوكي. اوكي خلاص تمام، اتريق. اوكي باي باي. الو هلا. اي فرع رحت؟ ايه ايه ايه. بس انت عندك بالفلس ترى، صح؟ الواحد بالمية. انت كم قسطك؟ انت 8700. زين 1% is 87 درهمز. هين بتكون 1% من القسط ولا 1% من التوتال اماونت اللي عليك؟ اوكي، يعني it's 87 درهمز. اوكي. هم. خلاص اوكي، انا كنت بشوفك كانك طلع مكان. ها؟ اوكي. لا اوكي خلاص، انا البترياك. لا انا شو اسمه، كنت بس بشوفك كان بتطلع، ما عشان البنك. اوكي. ما فينا يشيلون سيارتك بعدين. هم. ايه. هم. هم. يا هاي مان، يوم تخلص كلمني.